Hello, welcome back to F is for Fanatic. I am Cody, your host, and today we are talking about Graham Mertz and why Mertz works for Florida. So, Graham Mertz, the transfer from Wisconsin to Florida. A lot of people didn't like it. I didn't like it at the very beginning. I watched a lot of Wisconsin football. My dad's a big UW fan, so I've watched quite a bit. And, he was supposed to be the guy that brought Wisconsin back from the promised land. He was supposed to be the next Russell Wilson. But Wisconsin was a bad team. I mean, a really bad team. They ended up firing their head coach mid-season last year. They tried to change things up offensively, supposedly. They hire an ex-NFL wide receiver, Brandon Ingram, but then they run the ball 10 times in a row still, which tells me the head coach was definitely still calling the plays, or at least had the plays definitely restricted. You can't tell me a wide receiver is going to call 10 running plays in a row. We're gonna essentially just break down from 2020 to 2022. 2019, he really didn't do anything. So 2020, his stats, he had a completion percentage of 61.1%, 1,238 yards, average of 6.4, 9 touchdowns, 5 INTs, and 12 sacks. 118 completions. In 2021, he had 169 completions, 59.5% completion percentage, 1,900 yards, 6.9 average, 10 touchdowns, 11 INTs. Not good. I will say he did have COVID that year, which he was out for a couple games with COVID too. He was one of those guys that COVID really affected for a long time. Multiple games. He just never really did shake it after that. 2022, he comes back. He throws for 2,136 yards. Completion percentage is 57.3 yards, or 57.3 completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. But the sacks, 23 sacks. That's a lot of sacks. The guy was getting hit left and right. They kind of lost their bell cow back. They ran him into the ground. Young kid. They had the offensive line wasn't the offensive line of past of Wisconsin elite. They've always kind of been off O-line U, but not this year. It wasn't great. His safety valve, tight end Ferguson, left for the draft in 2021, so he was gone. So that brings him to Florida. Transfers out. Kind of a change of scenery. We get him real early. I think the first weekend transfer portal was open. So Billy hops on him. A lot of Gator Nation didn't like it. And I say this. If Jack Miller would have done his job during the Oregon State game, we probably wouldn't have been in this situation. Plus the Kitna deal, bad, terrible. So Billy's left in a rock and a hard place. He takes a guy that was a former low 4-star, 5-star on some sites out of Kansas. He has produced. He's played a lot of games. He's won games. He's lost games. He's thrown interceptions. He's thrown touchdowns. He's taken hits. He's seen it all. He's a junior. I think he fits, and this is why. I think we got a lot better offensive line than what Wisconsin does. I think we have a lot better offense than what Wisconsin had. Now, I don't know under this new regime with Luke Fickell coming in, he's changing a lot of things, coaching staff and all that. So I'm saying the Wisconsin of the old, not the Wisconsin of the new. I'm talking the old regime there. I think Florida fits Mertz better, and he has to. It has to work. Because who do you have? You have a baseball player and Max Brown, and you have Miller that showed us during the Oregon game he's not the guy. And he won't be the guy. Because if he was the guy, when the lights were on, he would have showed up. But he didn't. Deer in the headlights. I don't care if it was the fifth string receivers out there. I don't care if the Oregon State team was good. That's what quarterbacks do. You got to show up. You had the opportunity to be the leader of the program, and you did not. So, what do? Billy Napier goes out and gets Graham Mertz. We didn't get Hartman. Hartman transfers to Notre Dame, is what it is. We got Mertz. Mertz is serviceable. I guarantee he won't take 23 sacks behind our offensive line. We got 2 NFL backs in ETN and Montreal Johnson. We have the kid out of Tulane, Scatback, very promising. I think he's going to come in and do some nice things. And this is what I like about Mertz. If Mertz was terrible, Ricky Pearsall would have been gone. And this is why. Why does Ricky Pearsall stay? Minus some NIL money. If Mertz is terrible. If Mertz, because you knew they threw together. You know they got together before, Ricky took a long time to make his decision. So they were throwing. So they throw. Mertz says, oh my gosh, I can catch balls from this guy. I can catch a slant pass and not take my head off or my fingers, break my fingers like the previous quarterback from Florida. They're catchable. And if you go watch Mertz's highlight films, oh my, it is a pretty ball. It's probably one of the prettiest balls that you've seen thrown. I mean, it is a beaut. It looks so catchable. So, you have Ricky that stays, which I think is a tall tale sign that Mertz is going to work here. Because if Mertz wasn't going to work here, I think Ricky packs his stuff up and leaves. I think Ricky says, no, not happening. This guy's not good. Not going to catch me here. I'm going to go collect my money in the NFL. But instead he says, man, this guy can throw a nice ball. I can improve my draft stock. I like it. So I think that's good. And like I said previously, what else are we going to do? Mertz is a good buffer for when Lagway comes in. And with Mertz, he plays this year. I think he may have an extra year. He's got 2 years extra availability because of COVID. It's hard with all the ruling on what guys have and don't have with the COVID thing. But what's good about that is you give Lagway an extra year. You don't force him. There's nothing worse than taking a freshman kid that's not ready and throwing him out to the grinder of the SEC and breaking his confidence. I mean, you can damage a kid forever by doing that. So I think Mertz is smart. I think I think he can read defenses. I think he'll pick up the offense. No problem. I don't think Florida runs a very complex, confusing offense. I think some of the stuff from Wisconsin will transfer over. I think he's going to do great booting out right. I don't think it's going to be a problem. He'll throw the slant pass beautifully, which we haven't been able to do. He'll throw the screen pass beautifully, which we haven't been able to do. I feel like those intermediate throws were just missed last year, and it really bit us in the butt a lot, especially the slants. And he did improve. Now, are these Heisman numbers? They're not Heisman numbers at all. But it's better than what Miller would put up. You think Miller is putting up 2,100 yards, 19 touchdowns and 10 INTs, maybe 19 INTs and 10 touchdowns. And the kid got sacked 23 times. 23 times. That's got to be a record. I'll have to look it up. And as we've seen, we know Billy can evaluate talent. I don't think Billy is grasping at straws. I don't think he's bringing in a kid that can't play. He sees something. He's not going to bring in a guy just to bring in a guy. I just don't see it. I kind of feel like he knew he wasn't getting Rashada. He brings Mertz in. He didn't feel good about, in his gut, he didn't feel good about Rashada. And he knows Lagway is the future. So you bring a guy in with 2 years. Lagway sits his freshman year, learns the offense, lifts weights, eats in the college program, gets strong, learns how to read defenses, gets a whole year of practices, and then takes the program over. Mertz improves his draft stock. He has none right now, so this might save his career. He might end up still selling insurance, but at least he gets to spend a year in beautiful sunny Florida and play in the swamp. It's definitely better than playing in Camp Randall. And I think we wouldn't have brought him in if he wasn't something. Were there better candidates out there? I mean, it said that I think there was 23 or 24 guys they looked at, and that we're still going to sign another guy. I think you got to sign another guy. I think you're playing in the SEC. We've covered this on this channel. Chris Dorian said it best. You got to have SEC caliber roster. We do not have that. I can tell you that. We don't have a guy we can pull off the pine and win a natty. I don't know if we have a guy we can pull off the pine and beat a Vanderbilt. Truthfully. I like Mertz. Not my first pick. Not my last. Serviceable. We'll see what he can do in this offense. I think he's better than AR in the offense. I don't think he's better than AR. I think he's better than AR in this offense. That's my take on it. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for visiting. Like, subscribe. As always, we'll see you guys later.